Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another episode 9 of Coach WONDERGEDDON. I am your host, Coach WONDERGEDDON. We're going to talk very little bit about basketball playoffs. Um, Quick, I'm first in both of my leagues, one via bye week, Jays and Titties, and uh, one league of degenerates. I'm first place in that league too, trying to make my way to the end goal, which is first place in two leagues at the same damn time. I got some bad news though. Steelers have been decimated. I'll tell you why after my intro. Bad news if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan like myself. It's official. Two of the three Bs are gone. Antonio Brown is gone to the Raiders. He's gone to the Raiders. Draft him immediately. If you are in a fantasy football league or when fantasy football comes, draft him a league immediately. Maybe even your number one pick. I think maybe number one pick. He's going to a team that is being quarterbacked by Derek Carr, who is a 4,000 yard receiver. I expect that number to go up. A lot of touchdowns, 25 plus touchdowns, I believe, this year. Expect that to go up. And that's from Derek Carr alone. That's from Derek Carr adding Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown himself is going to get 100 receptions. He's going to do 1,300 yards. And he's going to catch at least 15 touchdowns this season. Barring injury, of course. But he's not a guy that gets injured very often, so expect those numbers. Draft him immediately. Maybe with your number one pick, if he's a keeper and you're not sure if you're going to keep him because he's not on the same team that he was on last year, forget all of that. Draft him immediately as soon as you can. He's definitely going to be first round quality pick with the Raiders. The Raiders are going to run the offense through him. And he's just really hitting stride. He's been amazing for the last 7-8 years. So expect that to continue for at least 4 or 5 more years. Funny enough, that could be the best wide receiver in the NFL, but if he's not, the argument could be made for the wide receiver I'm about to talk about. Because Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded from the Giants to the Cleveland Browns. That's crazy. Baker Mayfield, going into his second year at a quarterback, his first year really starting from the beginning of the season. He is a stud, and he now has a number one wide receiver that is going to do this with him. That is huge. Baker Mayfield now makes himself an early quarterback pick. Odell Beckham was always one of the first receivers to come off the board in the draft. Now the question is, which one of these two receivers that are put onto new teams that are expected to do amazing numbers, which one of these two are better? Who knows? My heart says that Antonio Brown is the better of the two, and he's going to have a better year than Odell Beckham. But team-wise, wins, I think the Cleveland Browns got a better pick. They've upgraded a little bit more. Juju and John Connor from the Steelers seems to have their faith because they haven't really done anything to replace what they lost. I said I said two Bs were missing, and I only spoke to you about one. The second B is Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's gone to the Jets, which is a pretty good situation. They got a new young quarterback. They're going to have an all-world running back now. The Jets are looking up. As I said, the Steelers have John Connor, which looks like he has a lot of upside going forward, especially without the controversy of not knowing whether he was a true number one running back because he had the shadow of Le'Veon Bell over him. Le'Veon Bell gone to the Jets means that shadow is now going to be lifted, and it's Connor Ball from the running back position for the next few years. As long as he can prove himself, we're about to find out. The Steelers are about to go through a lot of changes. Even though it doesn't look like it, you have to imagine that losing a player like Antonio Brown means that you are about to make some real changes. Juju is a really good wide receiver. I like him. He's one of my favorites. He's young. He's got a good 10 years in him, barring injury, and he's going to put up some good numbers. Monster numbers, I'm not too sure because I'm comparing the numbers to Antonio O'Brien, who is a workhorse. Even though if I had to put money down, I would say that Juju's going to perform and do an awesome job in Brown's absence. But Le'Veon Bell to the Jets makes the Jets a really good running team already. You're looking at 1,200 yards. He can do 1,000 yards catching and 1,000 yards running this season. He's not past that. He's had a whole year to heal up. I'm thinking he's going to get 1,200 yards rushing, 1,000 yards catching. That's huge. He's still going to be a first-round pick. So that means that the Steelers lost 2 first-round picks and didn't really replace them with anything except for Dante Moncrief. So we'll see what's going to happen with that team. Pittsburgh Steelers, I hope you guys know what you're doing. You guys know you're my favorite team. But the Raiders and the Giants not so much, but the Raiders and the Browns, they upgraded really, really high. Really, really high. That being said, let's see what happens during the draft. Let's see if the Steelers try to pick up another primetime wide receiver, or if they try to get a middle linebacker or somebody to kind of shore up that defense. Defense is young. I kind of want them to put a veteran in there to kind of get these guys down a little bit, fix these guys up, get them a little bit more mature. We have a young defense, so I'm expecting them to make mistakes, but I'm also expecting them after a couple years to stop making those mistakes and really show the Pittsburgh steel curtain that we are all known for. But we'll see what happens. Derek Carr, his stock just went up. Antonio Brown's stock's always been up. Baker Mayfield, his stock just went up. And Odell Beckham stock has always been up. So let's see what happens. Best 2 receivers, they both got traded. So we'll talk about that at a later time. We're going to talk about baseball. As you guys know, fantasy baseball is coming up. We only have a couple weeks left. I've talked to you guys about first baseman, talked to you about third baseman. Today we're going to talk about the outfield. I'm going to give you guys a tip on the outfield because the outfield is actually very deep this season. A lot of interchangeable parts, a lot of players that play more than one position in the outfield, and if you're lucky, even play a little bit of infield. There are only 3 people, in my opinion, that you need to get in the first or second round that are one positional players. I'm going to give you 1 left fielder, center fielder, right field. In the right field, New York Yankees, Aaron Judge. In the center field, Mike Trout from the Angels. And in the left field, Chris Davis from the Oakland A's. Those are the only 3 receivers, in my opinion, that need to be on your team in the first couple rounds that are one positional players in the outfield. As I said, left field, Chris Davis. Center field, Mike Trout. Right field, Aaron Judge. What you're looking for, I'm going to give each of you guys. Chris Davis, let me do it like this. Mike Trout could be the number 1 overall pick. You're looking at a 300 hitter. You're looking at 100 RBIs, 100 runs, and you're looking at 35 home runs. That could be a number 1 pick in the whole league. Very, very possible. Okay? You have Aaron Judge, who's also a first, second round pick in the draft. You're looking at Almost identical numbers, 100 RBIs, 100 runs. You're looking at 35 home runs. The only difference that sets them apart, which basically means if you have to choose between Mike Trout and Aaron Judge, pick Mike Trout, is because Mike Trout is a 300 hitter and Aaron Judge is a 267 hitter. 267, 270, which is good, but obviously 300 hitter, higher average. You want to win that. You want to win that battle. Chris Davis, I'd take him in the first round too if I had to choose between the three of them. The only difference between him is he's a 250 hitter, so he doesn't hit as often as they do. He does tend to strike out a lot, but he does hit more home runs. He does get more RBIs. The problem is his team is not as deep as the Yankees are, for example. So he doesn't get as many runs. He doesn't have as much people behind him that's going to get him across the plate, even though he's going to get about 110 people across the plate this year, including 40 home runs, which means that he's crossing the plate 40 times by himself. If you're going to choose between the three, you're going to pick Mike Trout first, you're going to pick Aaron Judge second, you're going to pick Chris Davis third. As I said, a lot of outfielders are out there who are going to play multiple positions, so look out for those in the mid rounds. You don't have to rush to grab an outfielder unless it's going to be a one positional player who's going to be a game changer, like, as I said, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Chris Davis. Okay? Focus on getting those multiple positions. If you're going to get an outfield, there's a few out there you could get. From Boston, you could get Mookie Betts, JD Martinez from Boston, or you could go to the Yankees with a Giancarlo Stanton, or, as I said, Phillies outfield, new to the outfield, Bryce Harper. One of those guys, if you're going to grab an outfield early, grab one of those guys. Or obviously the big three is going to be Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Chris Davis. WBBL, folks, 2019. We're still we're still getting players to join our league. We are going to put the link under here. You're probably looking at it now if you want to join the league. I am going to win the league, but you guys can come and you guys can join in and see if you can beat me. There's no harm in that. If you want to join a league where you can make a little bit of cash, I don't know who that belongs to, but I will tell you that I do know a man who knows a man who knows a man. So if you want to get into one of these cash leagues, come by, let me know. If you have a cash league and you're looking for an extra player or two to jump in, let me know as well. I might know a man who knows a man who knows a man. So get into it. Join us. You see the link is below. We'll put the link under the YouTube. Get you guys set up. And if you want to get into one of the cash leagues, let me know, and I'll let you know exactly where the man who knows the man who knows a man about a man will let you know. So I know you guys are asking, and I'm going to answer the question, what did we learn today? This is what we learned. We learned that the Raiders are willing to get Antonio Brown for what I think is little to nothing. The Steelers seem to have a lot of faith in James Conner and Juju, and apparently Dante Moncrief, who might be joining the Steelers as their second or third receiver next year. We'll find out about that. We're also going to, we also learned today to fill your outfield, not really with the first few picks. You might be able to get a stud out there if there's one there, but try to fill them up in the later rounds, maybe like the fourth or the fifth round. We've also learned today, if you're going to go for outfield, one positional outfield, to make sure it's either Chris Davis, Mike Trout, or Aaron Judge, or you might be wasting your early picks. Get your picks for the outfielders a little bit later on in the draft. There's a lot of them there. You'll be able to find a couple later on. And the outfield is deep this year. That's what we learned today. Next week, we're going to talk about the rest of baseball because the drafting should be done by then. So we're going to talk about the infield, and we're going to talk about pitching. Probably the most important part of all of Fantasy League. Next week, we're going to talk about the infield, and we're going to get those pitchers hopefully done as well. I might do them both at the same time. I might do the rest because the draft is coming soon. So we gotta get that set up for you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe button, hit that. And when we pop up, you guys will know before we get to tell you. See you guys next week.